I, 33F, am a single mother to a 6-year-old girl. I've raised my daughter all on my own. She was born from a one-night stand with a now former friend 37M. We never got together and he refused to be involved in my pregnancy or my daughter's first 4 years of life. I was stressed out emotionally because it's a big change, but I never asked for child support or force him to be involved. I have enough income to send my daughter to private school. I'm perfectly fine on my own. The issue started when he reappeared from wherever he went and decided he wanted visitation. He's not in my daughter's birth certificate. Father is listed as unknown. He wanted to have that amended. I said no, and that if he wants, best he'll get is to meet her in outings with myself or my daughter's godparents. He agreed, but he's been constantly pressuring getting parental rights. Court already gave him a big fat no, unless he pays 4 years of child support, which with his income goes somewhere around $230k USD. He hasn't paid a cent. My daughter doesn't even call him dad. Or recognize him as dad. She calls him Mr. I keep it very clean. I never bad talked him, never made up stories. When she asked about her father, I used to say it was just the two of us. Even during court, the assigned CPS agent testified that my daughter had no affection or clear relationship with her biological father. Now the main issue happened in a PTA meeting. He would say things like my family thinks or what is best for my family. I didn't agree with him and I voiced by saying my daughter has different needs and those are priority. He was clearly angry. After the meeting there was a moment for teachers and parents to mingle and just talk how the kids are doing. One of the teachers approached me to apologize, saying she didn't know my husband and I didn't like a project she was doing with the kids. I told her I had no husband and my daughter loved the project and wants to be part of it. The teacher then told me that my former friend was going around talking like he's my husband and he represents the family. I saw red. I walked to him and very loudly told him we needed to talk in private. In the parking lot I told him we were not a family and that he either will respect I am the only one that can make decisions on my daughter's education or he won't be involved. He went on about being her biological father, then I reminded him he had not paid a cent for the pregnancy, my daughter's needs, or even the private school my daughter is in. He hasn't tried to see my daughter since, which she doesn't mind at all. I asked her. I do feel a bit bad about what I said. Ida? I wanted to add this because the PMs are driving me insane. He has the money to pay child support. He chose not to pay. He was never prohibited from being involved. He had my phone number. I sent him picture and invited him to birthdays and other big celebrations. He never came. PSA, we are not in the US. Oop, he actually forced himself into the meeting. I wanted to give it a chance for him to be involved. I didn't expect him to act this way though. Oop, the school has a public schedule in its website. He knows the school she attends. Oop, to be fair, I've kept my family situation very private. It's not well seeing where I live to be a single mother. Most people assume I'm either a widow or my husband is overseas. Admin knew, but I had no real time to correct him. Plus, I didn't want to make too big a scene. It's why I took it to the parking lot. Oop, I've been trying to let him be involved. If he wants a relationship with my daughter, I'm okay with it. He has no legal rights, but I have no problem of him being part of her life. He just doesn't get to make decisions on things he's not paying for. Like school. I 33F going to preface this by saying my 6-year-old daughter's father 37M, I'm going to call him Jeff, has never been my romantic partner. We had a one-night stand. I don't like people calling him my ex, since it makes it seem we had some kind of emotional attachment. He was never involved after I told him I was pregnant, and actually wanted me to terminate the pregnancy, but I decided to raise my child alone since I have enough money to raise her without child support. For the whole pregnancy and the first 4 years, Jeff was not in the picture. On my mother's recommendation, I did send him pictures and invited him to special events, but he always replied he had no interest in my daughter. 2 years ago he reappeared and began demanding parental rights. When I didn't do what he wanted, he sued, and was told no, he was not getting parental rights. He was given the offer to pay child support and then we can revisit giving him actual rights, but he has refused. He has the money, much more than me, but he refuses. I still offered to let him see my daughter in a casual manner, no child support needed, with the agreement anything legal, medical, or educational will not involve him. He pushed the boundaries and we had a fallout. After that, we didn't hear from him for almost 6 weeks before he called to meet for Christmas. After much discussion, I agreed to bring my daughter over on the condition my daughter's godparents could come. Thus we went over for Christmas dinner. And finding out Jeff is married and had never told his family he had a child. It was great to be judged by a bunch of strangers. It was uncomfortable the whole time. I'm going to use fake names, but let's say my daughter's name is Katie. His wife kept calling my daughter Gabrielle. Not the actual name she used, but it was that different to my daughter's name. The wife was also very physical, trying to pick up my daughter or parent her. I would block her or tell her to please let me deal with my child. The whole time she pretty much ignored me, but Katie didn't seem nervous, so I decided to just bid my time. I hit my limit when my daughter said she needed the bathroom and the stranger went, "Oh Gabby, you need potty? Let mommy change you." My daughter hasn't worn diapers in a while now and she's more than capable of going alone to the bathroom. I immediately told her to stay away from my daughter and that we were leaving. The woman started wailing that I was kidnapping her baby girl and tried to lunge at me. Her in-laws got in the middle and hold her, consoling her and saying that we weren't leaving and for her to calm down like she was the victim. At that point I just glared at Jeff and told him he better explain or I would be calling the police. He asked me to speak in private in another room and that I could just leave my daughter with his parents. No way that would ever happen. Katie's godparents took her with them despite the wife having a full meltdown. Jeff and I spoke outside and he explained that he and his wife recently lost a daughter. I'm not going to give specific details on that, all I'll say it was sudden and nobody's fault. And as I can only imagine it had caused some psychological issues to his wife. Apparently he had the brilliant idea that having Katie pass as their lost child would help his wife. Without telling me. And that's why he wanted visitations and parental rights. He pleaded for me to leave my daughter with him for a little bit. I asked him what was his plan when his wife heals. His response was disgusting. Well, I'll just send Katie back with you and it will be just like before. I told him he was insane if he thought I would let him use my daughter like that. What his wife needs is therapy with a professional, not feeding her delusions. And I would not let that woman within miles from my daughter. He told me I was being cruel and didn't know the pain of losing a child. I agreed with him, but reminded Jeff that my priority is not his family, it's my child. What he and his family do to work through their grief has nothing to do with us. I also told him to call his lawyer because I'm making sure he never has contact with my child. So that's what I'm bracing for. He's been blasting my phone since Christmas, but I can easily ignore him. My daughter and I are doing a small travel vacation. This isn't an update, just something I feel needs to be said. My daughter is set for life monetarily. She has a trust and I make really good money in my position. If she was 18 right now, I could put her through college without a loan. She doesn't need child support for quality of life. If I could get child support and never worry about her father trying something, I would be suing him in a heartbeat. But after talking to a lawyer and realizing the risk, I've taken the decision that child support, or possible inheritance, is not worth my child's safety. Safety is always first. Mini update. Hey everyone. Happy New Year's. This isn't so much a real update as just letting people know we are home and safe. My daughter is spending the rest of her vacation with her godparents on another trip while I work on things. Moving might be something I'll be looking into, though that is a long-term plan considering all it takes. I won't share too many details on what my lawyer is going to be doing, but we are absolutely going to push for enroll. I might not post for some time. At least not until things settled. I do appreciate all the support and good advice. I'm taking a lot of it into account as I plan how to move forward. Oop. He found out on the 26th. I sent him an email and he called me in minutes after. Update 1. For those that didn't know, I'm right now dealing with my daughter's father and his delusion. He wants to use my daughter as a therapy doll for his wife that recently lost a child. A lot people were worried for my daughter and me, and I truly appreciate it. We're both safe, she's currently having a great vacation with her godparents, and I'm currently making my own arrangements to move on. My lawyer is working hard on keeping everything in order. I know a cease and desist was his first action and we're going for no contact. He says we have a solid case and hopefully this will be resolved relatively fast. And by that I mean a year or two. We did get a temporary restraining order. It's only until our first court date, but after it could be extended. I haven't had direct contact with Jeff. He lawyered up too and tried to send a threat to take full custody. My lawyer laughed at it since his reasoning was parental alienation. Except I have proof I tried for years to have him involved. Apparently turning in a few emails showing my attempts was enough to get them to change parental alienation to a different reasoning. My lawyer is not worried in all honesty. For now I've decided after much thinking that moving is going to be necessary. It won't be something I can do on a whim, but I'll be looking into new houses within the month to hopefully move sometime this year. School will remain the same, but we will be speaking to the admin to make sure only certain people can pick her up. And part of that decision has been to hire a private driver. He's someone I absolutely trust and has worked for relatives in the past, so I'm very comfortable with the idea and so is my daughter. Now I just have to make sure they don't go for fast food every day after school. Things in all honesty are not that scary right now. I have a good lawyer, good evidence, and my little girl is happy and healthy, so I'm just going to focus on working things little by little. Because of the legal proceedings I don't think I'll be posting any updates anytime soon. And to those sending me PMs telling me I'm horrible for keeping my daughter from her father, or telling me I shouldn't have had her in the first place, please kindly speak to the void. Update 2. I had no intentions to do a new post, but today absolutely took the cake. To those that don't know, my daughter, 6yo, was born from a one-night stand with Jeff. We were never romantically involved. It was a simple one-night stand and we did use contraceptives, but they failed. It happens. A few months ago Jeff went full psycho and tried to convince me to leave my daughter with him so she could serve as a replacement child for his wife who recently lost their infant daughter. I refused and right now we're in the middle of some legal issues. Now for today, I thankfully didn't deal with Jeff. Instead he sent a priest to harass me at work. I'm going to be very blunt, I am completely detached from religion. I'm not an atheist, just don't really like the idea of the Catholic Church. That's the leading religion in my home country. I respect it and most of my family is Catholic, so I have a detached respect for church officials. Today I was doing some paperwork when I got a call about a priest asking for me. I didn't have any meetings scheduled and a lot of times we get visits from clergy asking for donations or participation in events, so I figured that was it. I told the secretary to let him in and things at first seemed rather polite. Shake hands, asking how things were. The usual chit-chat. Then the priest began talking about how it had come to his attention that I was a single woman with a child, and that apparently I lived a life of debauchery and hate. His words. I was taken aback and agreed I was a single mother, but that I didn't see how I lived in debauchery and hate. The priest then went on about how he knew my daughter is prohibited from spending time with her father and that I'm constantly sleeping around with men instead of living a godly life. How he was worried and thought it would be best I considered giving my daughter a chance to live with a proper family rather than see me sell myself. Angry was an understatement. I did keep it civil simply because I was at work and I had no intentions of screaming to a religious man at work. I simply told him that my daughter was fine with me, she lived a safe and happy life, my personal affairs were my own, and that I had no intentions of sending her to another household. I told him that if there was nothing else, he should probably leave as I had other things to attend to. He then showed his hand and that's how I know it was Jeff's doing. The priest told me he didn't think my daughter would be a happy child with me, but her father was well respected in his church and he knew he would raise a proper Christian lady. At that I laughed, and simply said no. I once again recommended he left and if he didn't, I would be calling security. He left saying he would try to speak to me again when I'm not being hysterical. I told my secretary and our security not to let him into my office again. And I called my lawyer. I don't have audio, but we do have security feed from him walking into my office. Thank you again to everyone sending well wishes in my previous post. We are still working on that move, but school is back and she's loving it. We still have that temporary restraining order against Jeff and his wife. And school officials know it. Oh man, am I angry for you, oop. Oh, we're making a complaint to church leadership here. Police won't do anything because of how religion is viewed, so just going to jump over them. Now next story. Stepmother's sudden hatred towards me during lockdowns leads to me leaving home, causing my dad and Tammy to worry and search for me. I, 17F, used to have a great relationship with my stepmother. I genuinely saw her as a mother figure in my life and I was so excited when she found she was pregnant, but everything changed in 2020 when I had to stay prematurely with my dad during the lockdowns because my mom is a surgeon. At first everything was normal until my stepmother Tammy was about 4 months pregnant. She started snapping at me for no reason and things that she didn't care about before now bothered her. Now I wasn't a messy or a loud person. I was asked and respected the rules without any back talk, but no matter what I did she got angry. It came to a point she couldn't stand being in the same room as me. I remember I ended staying in my room most of the time. I only left to do chores or get something from the kitchen. Even at that she got mad. Like one day she came into my room angry and started yelling that my room was so smelly it was making her sick. I pointed out that the only mess in the room was a half bag of chips, which caused her to burst out crying. As always Dad babied her, then made excuses saying she's struggling over lockdown, pregnancy and not being able to see her family. My mental health was extremely bad. I felt like I was a piece of trash that at any day my dad was gonna throw away, and I was always scared my mom would get sick. It went so bad my hair started falling out. The breaking point came when I was at the kitchen table. I was reading a story on my phone waiting for my cereal to go soggy to eat it when Tammy came and huffed them started cleaning loudly, complaining about a mess. The kitchen was spotless. Then she took my bowl and threw it in the bin, literally even the bowl, so I just flipped and started yelling at her what was her problem with me and called her an abusive fucking bitch among other things. My dad came running and got between us. She demanded that I leave the house, that I was never allowed near her kid. Dad walked me to my room, then said something that ruined our relationship forever. He told me that I must doing something to Tammy because no hates a kid for no reason, and if I kept stressing her I'd have to move out. I then made a social media post asking someone for a place to stay, explained the situation in detail, packed a bag, then climbed out my bedroom window bungalow. After about 30 minutes my phone started blowing up, but I just turned it off and went to a friend's house. I texted my mom off my friend's phone to let her know everything. She didn't call for 7 hours because she was in surgery. She said my aunt would pick me up the next day. My mom told my father I was okay and that I'd be staying with my aunt for 2 weeks till she could come home. Apparently Dad and Tammy had to go door to door to my family/friends' houses looking for me. After I made the post, let's say they got a lot of shit. My grandparents still don't talk to him to this day. My aunt packed up my room because I refused to go back into that house. I've not spoken to my father in years or met my half-brother. Tammy and Dad still try to fix our relationship. Apparently sometimes pregnant women get a hatred against people or pets for no reason. I'm turning 18 in 3 weeks and a cousin's girlfriend asked me about inviting my dad, so I told her the story. She told me while what they did was wrong, what I did was an asshole thing too, because I made them worry/stress and go to multiple people's houses during a pandemic that put a pregnant woman having a mental health issue at risk by whole stunt. So Ada for letting my dad think I was missing. Update 2. Hi guys, I honestly thought I'd never give an update, but here I'm gonna call my cousin's girlfriend Sarah and my cousin Paul. So I mentioned in a comment I uninvited Sarah from the party, Yesterday Paul came over to talk. He told me Sarah had issues in the past with her younger siblings. It was apparently really bad, like her siblings lived with their mom full time and she lived with her dad. Long story short, Sarah was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and collage and went to therapy. He said even though she's apologized, her siblings still won't have anything to do with her, which breaks her heart. Paul said Sarah told him that when I told her what happened it triggered her because it reminded her of her situation with her siblings. I didn't mention in the other post because it was really irrelevant to what I was asking, but Sarah texted me about letting go of the hate, links to sites about family members with mental health issues, and numbers of family therapists, even subreddits on here. He told me Sarah wanted to meet up to clear the air and apologize in person. I said okay. Sarah texted about half an hour later about collecting me because she wanted to drive to a new restaurant that newly opened in the next town over as her pre-birthday treat to me. We know what she was planning, but Tammy ruined it for her by calling my mom to tell her Sarah's plans to help us make up. I wrote my dad a letter 2 days ago, as a lot of you suggested. I put everything in there and told him how it affects me to this day. I told him I wanted a relationship with my brother, but I wasn't sure I'll ever want one with him. I told him to leave me alone because his actions are only pushing me away even more, and if I ever decide I want to talk to him it will be on my terms with my mom present. The letter ended up being 5 pages, and you guys were right, it did make me feel better. My mom dropped it off that day and dad asked to meet her a day later. They talked about me meeting my brother and my dad said he wants to buy me a car, no strings attached. They, Tammy and dad, also asked would it be okay to give me money to get myself something for my birthday. You guys are gonna hate me for this, but I'm taking the car and $500 if he wants to give me more he can, because collage supplies and moving into a dorm is expensive. Back to Sarah, she's basically contacted Tammy via Facebook. Tammy sent my mom the screenshots, telling her everything I said, then asking Tammy her side because Sarah didn't believe me. To Tammy's credit, she told the truth and took full accountability. It was Sarah who kept trying to make out Tammy was the victim. Sarah told Tammy about her own past and said she'd try to mend our relationship. Tammy told her that didn't want her to. The last message was Sarah telling Tammy the location and time we'd be at the restaurant, even said she'd drive me so I couldn't leave even though I just asked a waitress for help or call my mom. My mom posted the screenshots into the group chat and called Sarah a bunch of names, told her if she ever came near me again she'd regret it. I blocked Sarah and left the group chat, so I don't know what happened afterwards, but Paul came over with my aunt and swore he knew nothing about it. To be honest, I don't know if I believe him because he was trying to defend Sarah again, which got him a verbal lashing from my aunt and mom. That's it really. I'm gonna update in a few months to let you guys know how everything went with my brother. I feel like I owe everyone that after so many people helped me take that step, because honestly words can't describe how happy it's made me. Literally the best birthday present I could have gotten. Thank you so much for the amazing advice and people sharing their own experiences, even the women who suffered mental illness. Tammy did. It helped me understand it a bit more, but I still can't forgive her. I don't think we can ever rebuild our relationship, especially to what it was. Oop. I've not spoken to him since, and my mom said don't worry about adult business, just focus on the rest of my summer and my upcoming party. But the way he was talking about her, if I had to guess, he is oop. From what I've been told by Paul and the stuff I saw in the screenshots, she was horrible to her siblings. I dare say abusive. Even in the watered down version, she said in one episode she cut up her sister's clothes and ruined all her makeup by throwing them against her sister's bedroom walls, but then also said she replaced everything afterwards and apologized, so she doesn't understand why the sister still holds it against her. There's a lot more she said in the messages to Tammy. Your father made a mistake. A bad mistake. Tammy was unwell and in crisis. It's up to you to move forward. You can have zero relationship with your father or work on repairing. And repairing doesn't mean they have to dance to your tune. Taking the car and money without making an effort to connect is greedy. You are almost 18. It's time to think about who it is you want to be. Oop, I didn't ask for the car or the money, he gave it, no strings attached. If he said I'd have to talk to him, I wouldn't accept it. He doesn't have to legally give me another penny in 3 more weeks, but if he chooses to, that on him.